bored. So the more room we give them, the better. And my mom's always like, well, you should let them roam around everywhere. I'm like, yeah, but it's summertime, and I'd like to be able to walk in my back garden without stepping on chicken poop. So you have to, these are they're helpful for you, but there's no reason to let them take over your life, I think. They still give you eggs no matter what, even if they do make some noise. Okay, so food. In terms of feeding a chicken, there's like the Purina chicken chow that you can get them. There's Leina, which does not have any added medicine to it, so some people like that. And then there's a guy that I found through Matt Grokoff, who's the one who introduced us to the whole idea of keeping chickens, Craig and Ricky Kovacek, and I've written it on the handout. He was one of the founders of Slow Food a long time ago, and he does all organic feed, and you literally like meet him in a parking lot. But it's awesome. The stuff is great. Thank you. He sells Scratch also, which is a really nice thing as a treat for the girls. I broke down the price differences for you also on the sheet, just so you could see what sort of the lay of the land is. Would you like to do that?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I personally, we go with the non-soy layer, because I figure I'm eating the eggs and I don't want to have the chickens eating anything I wouldn't want to be eating. But the whole idea of like vegetarian feed for a chicken is ridiculous, because as you can see, if you let them outside, they go so happy for bugs and worms and everything. They are omnivores, and so and it helps supplement their diet. They need all of that good stuff in there. Okay. Daily life. So, scratching. As you can see, what she's doing at the moment technically is called scratching. They scratch the earth to see what they're going to dig up. They do that because the chickens don't have teeth, obviously. So what they have is a repository in their digestive tract called a gullet. Gullet. Thank you. A gullet, and when they're really young, and you can go and you can buy bits of grit for them, and they'll eat the grit. And what happens is that they eat the little stones, and the stones in their gullet kind of mash together, and that's what makes mush out of their food so they can digest it in their stomach. And obviously I'm not a veterinarian doctor, but that's what happens. So that's why they need to have access to either stones that you give them in their coop, or you let them outside and eat dirt, which is what I do. Or another thing that I do is after I crack shells in our kitchen, we'll keep them, we'll let them dry out so there's none of the insides left, because otherwise they'll get a taste for eating eggs. And you can smash them up really small, and then they'll eat their own eggshells. You want to make sure there's enough calcium, because otherwise, if there's not, then the eggs will crack. Because I actually took a video. I don't know if I'm going to be able to post it, but when they lay an egg, they kind of like are squatted down, and then they stand up. So they're like a good 6 inches over the thing. And if there's, for some reason or another, if there's not enough sawdust underneath it, I mean, that's quite a distance for the egg to fall, and they will crack if they're not strong enough. So that's why you want enough calcium in their diet. Eating, we were tried to be very good when they were small to get them to eat out of our hands, because it made sort of like more friendly chickens, which we like the idea of. And you can feed them almost everything you would feed yourself, like scraps from our tables, totally go out there. Now it's like a fight between our compost pile and our chickens, like which one needs what kind of food or how to do it. So,
are there any table foods you know that they can't eat? They told me like avocados, mushrooms.
I don't know. I kind of feel like they're chickens.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm like of the idea that if it's not healthy for them, they won't eat it. Like, then again, I should say that about my dog, and he's chocolate every chance he gets. So,
he's still alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I don't know. It's a good question.
Okay.
Chicken, right? I would not feed them chicken. Like, that would be a little disconcerting on a whole bunch of levels.
Thinking fruits and vegetables mainly, but
yeah. Escaping. So our girls have escaped, and after you walk around the block once and you're like, oh gosh, you realize I'm never going to find this bird. Like, there's so many places for it to hide. And they always come home to roost, which is a little freaky, because you're like, wow, they know where their home is, which is awesome. But it's kind of cute, because I like that there is that phrase, the coming home to roost. They do know where to come.
How do they escape?
Well,
do you not have a fenced in
I will
backyard?
show you, actually. I'll show you.
Okay.
It's because we hadn't clipped their wings. So our fence is 8 feet tall. So they got to the top of the fence. So that goes to the next point on your list, which is wing clipping. So I'm going to pick her up for a second.
Fence is 6 feet tall, right?
I thought it was 8 feet because it's taller than I am.
Yeah, maybe it is.
So when you are clipping your girl's wings, and as you can see, you can sort of see how I've done this. This is how you want to start when they're young, so that they sort of learn how not to be balanced when they fly. And you just kind of, it's really easy. It doesn't hurt them. It's like doing toenails. But this is wing clipping, when you kind of take off these feathers out here. And it helps them from jumping on fences and going into your neighbor's yards. Because then the neighbors will write to the neighborhood watch saying that there's a rooster in their back garden. And it gets a little chaotic. Okay. Dust baths. I think it's pretty important to allow them some space in your area for them where it's just dirt, because they will make themselves a dust bath. And in factory farms, they actually spray them with some sort of microbe removing dust stuff that kills all of the mites in their feathers and in their down. But if you give them a dust area, then they'll do it themselves. And watching them do it is possibly the funniest thing ever. Like they kind of, it's like watching a dog in the sun. Like it's truly one of the coolest things ever. And it's a nice thing they're taking care of themselves. They know how to do it. They started doing it when they were really young. This is an instinctual part of the chicken world. Hi. Okay, so nesting and brooding. So this girl showed up in our lives in August of last year, and when spring happened, I suddenly noticed that our nesting boxes, which when you look at coop designs online, they're usually a separate area, 3 sides enclosed. They want to be kind of like, they don't like interference to lay an egg. They want to be secluded. She wouldn't get off the eggs. I'd be going in there, she'd be on the eggs. I'd go again, she'd be on the eggs. I'd pick her up, I'd throw her off, she'd be on the eggs. And apparently sometimes hormones will kick in when the sun gets high enough in the sky and there's enough sun that they'll start brooding. And what it means is that they want to sit on eggs to hatch them. If you keep on throwing them off, eventually they'll stop doing it. But that is one thing to look at. Another term for it is nesting, which I think is cute. We have a dog and a cat at home, and the chickens are fine. When they were really, really small, we kept them in a sort of a box area, and we put some chicken wire on top of it, and the cat would get on top of the chicken wire, and you could tell what the cat was thinking. But as the chickens got bigger, they have beaks and they have claws, and now the cat runs the other direction. So it's just a question of waiting for the girls to be big enough so they can fight their own fight, because they will fight their own fight. Same thing with the dog. They live sort of in happy harmony, which is kind of fun. Winter care. So we do not heat our coop because we let them outside, and if we heated our coop, it would be too much of a shock to the system for them to go from a heated coop outside to the cold. But we do have a heater for the water, because I could not imagine anything more annoying than going out every day to refill water so it freezes. So we just have a heater, and the water sits on the heater. Also, we turn on a light on a timer so that it goes for at least 12 hours a day, just to kind of help them, to help us have eggs. The chickens have a 24-hour menstrual cycle, which I know is kind of an odd term to think about with a chicken, but it only, if their 24 hours hits and it's light out, then they'll lay an egg. If it's not light out, then they won't lay an egg. And obviously, every chicken is different. Some of them are 23 hours, some of them are 25 hours. So therefore, you don't get an egg every day like clockwork, because depending on where it hits in their day, in their cycle, and if it's light out, then you'll get an egg. So with 4 chickens, we get 3 or 4 eggs a day. It's not at all regular. And we do try to keep track to make sure that we're not losing them somewhere, or they haven't found a place to hide them in the garden that we don't know where it is. Which they do, exactly.
What kind of light do you use?
We use the same light that we used for when they were small.
Okay, like a special heat lamp?
We got it at Chelsea thing, and it's one of those large ones with a metal outside, and then I just put in a regular light bulb.
Yeah, kind of a spotlight.
Yeah, exactly, because it has the clip on the end, so I can clip it in the coop really easily.
Okay.
You're talking about the lamp, but you use the regular. We use a regular 60 watt.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Okay.
Yeah. And you get eggs, which is so exciting.